You know, this morning in the elders, as they smoked the pipe, they said there's lots of good work going on here. Lots of good work going on here. But they asked to relay a message. They said, we've got to take this home. We've got to take this feeling you have right now. Take it home. Take it home to your children. Take it home to your wives. Take it home to your mothers. Take it home to your kokums. Show them the possibilities. You know, this is just the start. This is just the beginning. Show them what we can be as men. You know, we've been here for 3 nights. And every night for some of our warriors, it's been a challenge. Every night has been a challenge. We're in the city. There's a bar on every block. There's all kinds of stuff to get into. And it's been a challenge for the fathers out there, for the grandfathers out there. Don't give up on your children. Don't give up on your grandchildren. There's slips, there's falls. We got to pick them up. We want them to be, I know as a parent and as a grandparent, I want my kids not to walk behind me, not to walk beside me, but to walk in front of me and show me the way. I want them to explore. I want them to have a better life than I've had. I want them to be wise. But you don't get that by following. You get that by leading. So that's what we want. The elders asked this morning, that when we leave here today, at the end of the session today, that we take our teachings that we've had in the last 3 days, take it home to our home fires, and make a better life, not only for ourselves, but for our families and our communities. You know, we have leaders in this room that have the opportunity to continue men's clubs in your communities. And you don't have to be a leader to do that either. You can just be a citizen, and you can do that. You know, in my community, I want to thank a couple men here today. You know, I want to thank Vince Kaituhat. We adopted him. He's from Loon Lake. They didn't want him in Loon Lake, so we took him. Where are you, Vinny? Now I'm going to give you accolades, and you're not here, you dirty, rotten little. And the other one is Maury Machi. They're the ones that brought our people here today, our Flying Dust members. You know, and there's all these champions in every community. Those are the ones that are from my community, so I recognize them. You know, Lawrence Bear, thank you for bringing your young men, your boys here this week, Lawrence. Thank you for that. It's Flying Dust. You know, I see Chief Delbert again here this morning. Thank you, Chief Delbert, for bringing your community. You know, I see English River boys. Joey Paul, Councilor Joey Paul. See, Joey, I told you I didn't say Percy yesterday. Joey, you know. Bruce, who's speaking here this morning. All you guys that are champions in your communities. Elders, you're champions. You're here, you're supportive. You're doing the right thing. You're here to support your young men, your family men. Thank you very much. Dino, thank you for being here for all 3 days and supporting your Napewak-Deneyu men. You know, those are great. Until you've hung around for a while, you don't realize how important that is to support, to be here for your people. You know, Waterhen boys, thank you for my good neighbors. My good neighbors. Woo! She's a tough go. I'm just kind of so happy. You know, Big River. What did you guys have? 3 tables? 3 tables. Thank you, Big River, for coming in. Thank you for coming in and supporting our initiative here and helping yourselves. Cool, man. That's cool. You know, Thunderchild, Soto. Where's the Soto boys? Still there. One table strong. Woo! Thank you. PBCN. Where are you boys? Oh, that's you guys with the big picture in the back. Right on. Thanks for coming. You know, it's humbling to see all this men gathering in one place and doing good things. Doing real good things. We have a lineup for you tonight. I mean, tonight. That's what we're doing, a hockey game or what? That's what I do at home in Meadow Lake and Flying Dust. I announce the local senior men's hockey. It started, I told you where it started. There was the Pine House and Onion Lake. Ken Lake was just starting out. That was with Chiboy and Malu and them guys. Malu here today? Hey, Malu, how are you today? You know, those boys, they were just starting the Ken Lake Young Guns. Yeah, now the Ken Lake Young Guns are Freddie champions and PBCN are Freddie. Are you guys Freddie champions yet? No way. No, but you win every other goddamn tournament. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to my good friend to get our first speaker up. Cal Arcan does a hell of a job. I think I told you guys, hire him, okay? He's got a good job.
Thank you, Chuk. Our first speaker here today, friends and relatives, gentlemen, Mr. Bruce McIntyre, member of the English River First Nation, currently a band counselor. He started his learning journey of traditional ceremony in 2007 and hasn't looked back. Ceremony is a connection with self, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and he continues to share his knowledge as much as possible. And today he's going to share with us. Make him welcome here in Saskatoon, Mr. Bruce McIntyre.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again. Yeah. I just want to say thank you to the pipe carriers, my good friend Sidney Ben and William Ratfoot, for lifting the pipe. I'm so grateful for that, for what we have, what we still have. It's kind of tough to stand here right now. This is not usually what I do. I've never done. I've always kept myself alone. I build walls around myself. And I just followed in the last 20 years. I come to follow the Creator's path, what He set out for me. And this is where I ended up. I never wanted to be a counselor, and here I am, standing up for my people. So thank you. And I just wanted to say something a little funny here. Standing there, you know when you got a Band-Aid on your arm and it's full of hair, and somebody pulls it off real slow? That's how it felt just now, because thank you, Chuck. Thank you for the introduction. Ceremonies. I'd like to let you guys know where I came from. You know, I know everybody here's got a story. I know everyone here has a past, has a history. A lot of it can't be good. That's why we're here. It's the men's wellness program. Myself, I came from English River, Pachinak. My dad's name is Moise McIntyre. His dad's name is Norbert McIntyre. My mom's name is Rose Solomon, and her dad is Joseph Solomon. Norbert's wife is Muglen. Joseph's wife is Eleanor. And right now, back home, we're not sure who we are or where we came from. That's the general consensus talking to people. A lot of questions are asked. Who are we? You know? We've been, some people here, I heard somebody say that we've been brainwashed. That could be a possibility, more than likely. I know my mom tells me stories. In the last 5 years, she's opened up. She started smudging. She was real hardcore Catholic. And she started smudging now. She wakes up in the morning. She still says a rosary, but she smudges. And before, she never used to do that. She never cared to do that stuff. She was told that it was evil for some reason. I don't understand that myself. On my dad's side, the one thing I'm very grateful for myself is my grandpa Norbert was said to be a medicine man. He used to go further up north, and he would take part in ceremonies up there. And when he come home, he used to talk about it. He used to say how beautiful the sweat lodge looked. He used to tell his grandchildren. So that's kind of where I came from. My dad, in 1967, I believe, took part in a film, a documentary, the People of Dipper Lake, it's called. And it's on YouTube. I don't know if any of you have seen it. and at that time, we were born already. My siblings, we were there. I don't remember any of that stuff. But right now, I'm very proud of it. So he left his legacy there, talking about our people and the way we survived. He was really into alcohol. My dad, he was a drunk. He worked hard. He went out and he worked hard. He worked hard. He had a dog team, and he used to go trapping. And whatever money he's made, he would come home and invite all his good friends, and from what I hear, he would party and drink. But he worked. He kept us clothed. But these are the things that I was told, because I don't remember that. It wasn't until we moved to Meadow Lake. That's where my memory started. But the alcohol was already there in my life. We moved to Meadow Lake, and the very first memory in my life was sitting in a hall, and everybody was drinking and playing guitar. That's my very first memory in life, and I was just a child. Thank you. Yeah, and every other memory up until 1976, when we moved back to Beauval, La Plonge, was of the same, pretty much the same. Mind you, he did keep us clothed. He did feed us. It wasn't a hell of a lot, but we were fed. But what I saw as a child, the things I saw, drinking, partying, swearing, fighting, you name it. Some things I don't even want to talk about. As a child, I seen. Me and my brother Merv, we used to crawl underneath the bed when these things start. And we knew. We went under the bed and we would hide. And some nights we'd sleep there. We'd fall asleep there. Many nights we'd get up and crack the door open just a bit and look. And we'd see it. Fighting, swearing, laughing, drinking. the whole bit. And that's the way I grew up. That's what I saw. Pretty much what I was taught. So 1976, my dad didn't want to drink no more. So he used location. He wanted to change his life. So he did that. He moved. He picked up his whole family, and we moved to Beauval, La Plonge Reserve, 1976. And he quit drinking, but he fell off again. I remember there was a bicentennial in La Crosse. He picked up the whole family, tents, everything, camping gear, and we all moved to La Crosse for a couple of days so he could take part in that bicentennial. And he got drunk. That's all he did. Meanwhile, me and my brothers and sisters would go out and we'd wander around. But when we come back, of course, for the 3 nights that we were there, it was just parties. Anyway, the last day, everybody left. And there was 2 tents left. It was ours and the next one. And they were drinking. That's all they did. All day, all night. And my mom, she didn't drink. She sobered up earlier. Maybe I'll go back and share that story. I need you guys to understand, like, this is where I came from. It's what I saw. So, back in Meadow Lake, we had a little fuel stove, and it was just a little round stove that it was like a wick. It just burned fuel, and that's all it was for heat. In the wintertime, we got up after a weekend of partying, and me and my brother were like 6, 7 years old. And he knew enough to go out to go get fuel. There was a little tank outside that he went to go get. And he went out there. And when he did, he saw a little, off in the distance, looked like a jacket laying in the snow. So he went to go check. It was my mom. She was passed out in the snow. So he came in to get me. And I went there. And I helped her. Me and my brother, 6, 7 years old, we helped her to get up, brought her inside, and she was crying. I still remember she was crying. Anyway, that's the last time she drank. She never drank again after that. She saw what it did and what we saw. She understood. Anyway, going forward, again, to La Crosse, we weren't sure how we were going to go home. And my dad was passed out now, and we were the last ones there. Of course, my mom, devout Catholic, she was on her knees and just praying. And I just wanted to say this because of my good cousin there spoke yesterday. He showed up. He was there, Isidore Campbell. And he loaded up everything, unpacked everything, put it in a boat, hauled my dad there, and we all left. And oh man, my mom was so happy. Her prayers had been answered. And we got back to the house. He hauled everything, all by himself, everything up to the house, and unloaded and put everything away. Then he cracked open a beer and he sat there and he drank with my dad. But by then, my dad was thinking, this is, what am I doing? This is enough. This is good enough. So that fall of 1976, he stopped. He finally quit. Everything he'd been working for years, trying really hard to quit drinking, he kept falling back, and he finally stopped. Of course, we didn't believe it, us, because that wasn't our life. Our life was watching him drink as we grew up. And there he was, quit drinking. And everybody here knows about the dry drunk, so that's what happened for the next 5, 6 years. He just became miserable. So there were some days when I wished, just drink again, be happy so I could see you smile. But that's the way life went. He finally realized these things, and he started up the AA program in Beauval and Patronac in 1977, I believe. He worked on himself, and he got himself healed in some way. And he moved forward like that. And then from there, I picked up the torch, and I took off with it. And for the next 20 years or so, it progressively got worse, and I just drank. And yesterday, hearing the guy talk about blackouts, there were so many blackouts in my life, so many dumb things I did, and but that just goes with it. That's part of it. When you're in that lifestyle of alcoholism and drugs, you don't care. You really don't. So when my dad sobered up, he must have realized what he did to his children. We were just kids. We didn't know anything. We followed him. He was the father. We followed him. So I did what he showed me. I went out and I drank. And somewhere along that line during my drinking career, I had kids. And I did the same to them. They watched me. That's one of the things I'm ashamed of. But I pray about that all the time. I reconciled with them individually. I remember I took my son William. At that time, he was 32 years old. And he's a pretty good guy. I pulled him aside and I took him and I talked to him. And I ripped open my heart and I told him, I'm so sorry for everything I did. Sorry, my son, for the way I showed you, for the things I did. I'm not supposed to be doing that. Can you forgive me? And we both cried. And he did. That was the end result. He forgave me. Then I took my daughter aside. Danielle did the same thing. I asked her to forgive me for everything that I did. And then I took my son Brandon aside. And I did the same thing with him too. And that I'm really grateful for. At that time when I did that, that was probably about 7 years ago. So in 2000, I don't know how many attempts I made to quit drinking, to quit this. I'm realizing what I'm doing, like my dad did. And that's probably one of the teachings that rubbed off on me from what he showed me. And I decided that's it. So I quit. And then I fell off again. And I quit again. Fell off again. But I just kept going. Something in me was saying, it's not the way of life. In 2000, that spring, that was the last time I drank. So that's 25 years ago. And thank you. 25 years ago, I quit drinking, but that doesn't mean life stops. Life still happens. You still get pissed off. Things still happen, And that dry drunk kicks in. It's just part of it. I don't know why. I wish you could get rid of that whole thing, but that's the way it is with being an alcoholic. So the way I was, the way I acted, I broke my own family apart. I drove my wife off. She couldn't stand the way I was, so she went to go find somebody else. And oh my God, that broke my heart, shattered me. Isidore was talking about that yesterday. All he did was cry. That's all I did too. That's all I did. I couldn't eat, sleep. I just cried and cried and cried. I was so heartbroken. Anyway, that's when the next leg of my journey began. My brother, Merv, seen me. He was worried about me and the way I was. I was losing weight. I was 150 pounds at the time. And he thought, I have to do something. So he reached out to the elder. And I'm so grateful for him. I don't know if he's here or not. Oh, he reached out to William Ratfoot, and he invited me. And that's one of the things that my dad always told me was, just, this is what he taught me. This is what he showed me. Don't ever go to a sweat unless you're invited by a medicine man. And I always remembered that. And lo and behold, he called me. So I went, and that was in 2007. And that's when my life completely turned around. Because all I knew was, before that, was the Catholic way. I didn't know anything else. And I should say right now, I got to say, there's nothing wrong with the Catholic way in my heart. I still believe, I believe in what they say. If you believe in the core of that, you'll be all right. Because the core in my heart, I believe, is love. And if you follow that way, you'll be all right. But again, I went to a sweat, my first sweat. I was looking out the window as my brother was driving, and there was no life in me. I was just dead to the world. I was a shell of a man. And there he drove me to my first sweat lodge. After that first sweat, driving home, it was like I can't explain it. It was like the weight of the world was lifted off me. I was completely, I don't know, I floated out of there. I talked to my brother all the way home. I was laughing, and that's the power of a sweat lodge. And that's what we have as people. We have that with us. We should be so grateful for that. So that's where my journey in the ceremony started. I started going. And each time I went, my life started getting better. Each time I went to the sweat, the elder would look at me and say, think positive. Do me a favor. Think positive. So I started doing that. It was hard, of course, thinking positive. How in the hell are you going to think positive? Right? With all the shit that's going on in your life. But I started to follow what he said. And each time I went there, I would smudge with whatever smudge he had, sweetgrass, sage. And the teaching started to kick in. And he told me, every time you smudge, he'd say, every time you go out in the world, no matter where you go, you pick up energies, he said. You start to collect them. And that's what our ancestors figured out years back, long ago. So I did that. I started following his teachings. I get home, I smudge myself, I smudge my house, I smudge around my house. And of course, that time, people were probably thinking I was crazy, but I didn't care. I was just doing my thing. I was working on myself. So that's what I did. I go home, smudge, and then I go to work. I was working in the oil sands at that time, and I was making good money, enough to keep parties going for the week that I'm out. But I didn't go that direction. Instead, I stayed home. When I get home, I go to sweats, finish off my week, do my thing, hunting, fishing, whatever. Everything that you do when you're sober. And then I go back to work again. And each time that I went to the sweat, I was learning things. I was starting to pick up knowledge and starting to understand and realize these things about life. There's ways that you live. And then I started hearing about the 4 parts of you: emotion, mental, physical, spiritual, and the balances. These are all the things that they were being explained in the sweat, in the ceremony. So I started really seriously thinking about that. And I started working on and really looking. I took my eyes and I turned them in on myself. And one of the first things that I realized, it was like one of those eureka moments. And I'm like, oh, that's why she left me, I was a real asshole. And I had to figure that out. I had to look at myself. And the way I was, there was other things. There was jealousy, insecurities. As men, being and knowing insecurities, that's a real blow to the ego. We're men and we're not supposed to be like that. So I had to admit to myself all these things. Those things are also, they're taught to you in the AA program. All these things, they all fit together. They're all worded differently. Some use God, some use Jesus, But the message is pretty much the same. The ceremonies that I went to really, really made me stronger. It started to open up things in my heart, in my mind. And I started to realize, you can't, you got to start being positive. Get rid of those negative thoughts in your life. So that's what I did. And then as time went on, I was asked to help. The Waskapiwits for the elder kind of took me under his wing, along with the elder, and they started showing me how to prepare the rocks for the sweat. So I took part in that. Next thing you know, I started collecting willows, because we're building every place that we went that he was asked to go. We started building sweats, and I was asked to do that. And this was years and years of working. And that wasn't what I was after, I'll be honest. But that's what came with the package of my life, my own personal life. And that's when I started to realize, well, this is not even me that's doing this. This is the Creator. This is God. This is the way He acts. This is the way He shows us. So that's my life, and that's the way I went. Now, none of you don't have to follow it. You could go your own way, and there's other ways of healing. And I wish that you would find those things, each and every one of you. But for me, it was ceremony. Back home, we were taught everything Catholic. We were taught that sweat lodge and all that stuff is evil. That's what we were taught. And the reason why is because of the river system. They were there in the 1790s. They were already there. and we were the people of the Beaver River. So I just want to say that I'm so grateful for where I am right now, and for the opportunity to speak here. I am not a speaker by any means, and I'm so grateful to be listening to the ones yesterday and the past couple of days, and all the messages that were shared. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, wish you all well. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a hand to Bruce McIntyre, English River First Nation Council member. I know that we didn't get our usual gifts that we give to our speakers, staff. You didn't bring none up here today for us to give out. So I'll have to get that to you, Bruce. I'm going to ask, first of all, I'm going to share a little bit of something that I just remembered this morning. Last night, when you're just falling asleep and you're in that state of, am I sleeping or am I not sleeping? In that state, we're in this room. And I'm standing here, and I looked all around the room. And all around the edges, I recognize some people that have left this world. And there's lots of them. There's hundreds. Just as many of us standing here, sitting here. There's just as many standing around against the walls. You know that state of sleep where you don't know if you're awake or if you're sleeping? I remember seeing some of the people from Flying Dust, some old people standing there, which tells me that our ancestors, the men of our ancestry, are with us here. I used to dream and I never thought nothing of it. As I get older and I see these things now, I have to share them. I have to share those. Because it means some significance that we're not alone. Our ancestors, the men in our families that have left us, are here with us. They are here with us. The pipes that we smoke every morning, the elders smoke for us every morning, have summoned them people to be with us. I just have to share that story because I was just thinking about it. When you don't think about it till it comes back to you. Because I vividly remember that part of my evening. I want everybody to know that we're not alone. You have your ancestors, your grandfathers, your fathers, your uncles here with you to help you through this process. And they're damn proud of us doing what we're doing. Let's give ourselves a hand for the work we're doing. I want to ask that good friend of mine, I call him my uncle. Good friend of mine, he's the Vice Chief at the FSIN. I want to ask Dutch Lorana to say a few words.
Thank you, and good morning to all of our respected knowledge keepers, all of our friends, all of our relatives, and want to start by bringing you all greetings on behalf of your FSIN. And I've been there a few years now, so I can go back and call it the Federation of Saskatchewan Indian Nations before it was changed over. So I greet you all on behalf of your executive. I am privileged to be your second vice chief here at the organization, and some of my portfolios are lands and resources, and I've got the Senate, and I've got Bold Eagle Management, and a few more. So I'm happy to be here, to come and be with you, sit with you, talk with you, smoke pipe with you. All of those good things that, you know, when we're going down the road, we're hoping that that we would get involved with. And I know that I have probably been to each and every community at one time or another in the province here. And I know many of you, if not, I know many of your fathers and your grandfathers. So I wanted to say that. I wanted to also acknowledge the organizers of this meeting, of this conference, of this get-together. Marcia and your team, and of course, Meadow Lake Tribal Council, Vice Chief Chook, and the leadership there for putting on this. And you come here to me as a man, as a Muslim now. Couple more weeks, I'll be 73. I was on the west side when I was in my 30s. Mutsigan. But I want to acknowledge our previous speaker, Councillor McIntyre. And what he said was very important. And you know, we go through life, and I can say this as a knowledge keeper, you know, life's journeys, and, you know, that's been a lot of us of our school, residential school survivors. And, you know, homelessness, we've all experienced that one time or another. And I want to say that we've all survived that. Each and every one of us here have a story to tell. And there's been many challenges, but at the same time, there's many blessings within that story, whether it's from family blessings, whether it's from children, whether it's from community. And it was said this morning that you don't have to be elected to be a leader. Each and every one of you here in your own communities are leaders by what you do, by when you volunteer to do things for the community, for the children, for the Muslims and Kookums. You know, sometimes we don't think about that, but we just do it. And I'm from Cowessess, about 100 miles east of Regina. I never lived on the reserve. After, I think grade 10, I think you needed back in the day in order to go into post-secondary, and now you need grade 12 minimum. I did finish my grade 10, and then I went into the armed forces, where I stayed for 3 years, but too much like residential school. So I did my residential school down in Maryville, back home. And I know that many of you are intergenerational, either your mom or your dad or your Kookums or your Muslims or somebody in your family has went to residential school. And I know that that the counselor talked about, to what I gathered sitting here, regret. When you're old like us, regret. You think about a lot of things from your past. Things, celebrations, good things, things that you make you feel warm, make you feel good, your children, your grandchildren. But you also have regrets. Regrets that you may have said something somewhere, someplace to somebody that hurt their feelings, that was hurtful. And that's what I got from our relative from English River, is that it's never too late to pick up the phone and make things right while you're here. And so as you old, and many of you are still young, very young, and that's good to see, because there's going to be lots of us in the future. But you know, to think about as we get older, the regrets, and most of the time we have the ability to make things right. And to me, at our age, we do two things. One, we transfer knowledge, our life's knowledge, to those younger ones. Many of you here, younger ones. And we do that in a way that we weren't taught in residential school. In residential school, we weren't taught how to love one another. In residential school, we weren't taught how to respect one another. It was survival to some degree, but at the same time, it was survival against those perpetrators that were involved in that. And so now I can forgive them. Some of them abusers are still out there, and I was with my friend when they had the trial for that abuser up in Beauval. And I stood beside him. He was one of the abused. And so for him to find within himself that he couldn't do anything to this individual, but this individual would find justice when he went to the other side, when he went to the Creator. So with us, we go to a lot of funerals, leadership, and there's a lot of grief and there's a lot of sorrow. And so the message that we try to give is whoever's passed wouldn't want you to wait to be in that better place till you got to the other side, but to find that better place here while we're still on Mother Earth. And so as a Muslim, as a cook, I just about said probably just about kokum too. But we love our women. We hold them up. My mom, single mom, residential school survivor, 13 kids, 9 of them boys. Imagine that. And all of the rest, there's a lot of our delegates today that have grown up in that life, where all you had was your brothers, your sisters, and you grew up poor. But at the same time, you had that love from Mom. That's what held us together. And that's what we do now. As your leaders, sure, we've got these leadership on treaty rights. We've got our next issue that we have to tackle is we have to sit down with our Métis brothers and sisters and discuss how we're going to go forward, because we're starting to see now our agendas overlapping. So we've got that, and we're going to sit down with some of the leadership. I know Choke is going to be part of that table to have a discussion on, what do we agree on? We can all agree on and put together a strategy on fishing, because everybody fishes, and there's no Métis fish and there's no First Nations fish. Hunting, general areas like that, and I know it's difficult for our people because a lot of the Métis are our first cousins and our second cousins and third cousins. So but we have to have that discussion, because we have treaty rights, and most of our, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of our relatives that were Métis are now have a status card. But there's still those that are left on the outside, so we've got to have that discussion. And so what we do, as our counselor had said, we go into ceremony now. We're going to ceremony, and that helps us cleanse our mind going forward. And I, too, grew up in a residential school, Roman Catholic. And I've come to see our way. Just before anybody came this way, we had our tribes, we had our own institutions, we had our priests as well, our medicine men. And I too have come to realize that we're all going to that same place. God, Creator, the Muslims call him, can't remember, but they all call him God at the end of the day. And so we all are on that path towards that same goal. And what we're talking about here today, first you have to deal with yourself, right? And it's the same as residential schools. You've got to deal with what happened in residential school. Bring that little child that was left back there up, and there's a lot of forgiveness and a lot of retribution. So I want to lift each and every one of you up today. Congratulate each and every one of you for being here, for the older ones, for your knowledge, for the leadership, for your leadership here, and also for those champions. And I said before, each and every one of you are champions. And we thank you, your federation, Chief Bobby Cameron, Vice Chief Dave Pratt, Vice Chief Head, Fabian Head, and of course, Vice Chief Craig McCallum and our staff. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. And thank you all for going home and putting into practice things that you may not have known about, that someone somewhere has talked about over these 2 days. So you go say, hi, have a great day.
Thank you, Dutch, for those words, and those are that is one of the reasons that Dutch, at 73 years old, is still representing us at the FCIN, because as he said, he's been in every community at least 5 times in this province of Saskatchewan. I know any time we need him in northern Saskatchewan, on the west side, he obliges us. I was at a funeral in Little Pine last week, a week and a half ago maybe. Vice Chief Dutch was in northern PA area. He had to be in Regina for a flight the next morning. He came from northeast Saskatchewan to Little Pine to his bed in Regina, all in one. He left Saskatoon northeast Saskatchewan, came to Little Pine, gone to Regina, made a flight the next morning. That's how dedicated Vice Chief Laurent is. And that's the miles that he puts on every week. Let's give him a big round of applause, please. You know, it says health break. We're not going to take a health break. What we're going to do is we're going to give 3 more gifts away. 3 more draws. All right?
Oh, yeah. Prizes. Our draw box right here, buddy. I
thought somebody stole it.
No. I know also, like my Uncle Dutch there, I want to acknowledge you there, Uncle. You can come and pick the names here, buddy. You know what? As leadership, I'm a former counselor in Muskeg as well, and, you know, we try to do our best as leaders, but we get called a lot of things behind our back, but never a cook-em. Never a cook-em.
3. Where's our staff? Can we have a staff up here, please?
If you're going to be called a cook-em, you call yourself a cook-em, eh?
He knows. He's a...
All right, here we go. Thank you, Dutch.
My nephew, Robert Smallboy. There you go. Pick yourself up a prize there.
Banner.
He's
First
been here
one
all 3
here
days.
today.
I had a chat with him this morning. Proud to be here, he said. Glad to be here. Awesome things happening. Ken Crow. Ken Crow, are you here? Ken, you have to be here. Signed up this morning, eh? Ken Crow. Oh, yeah, there he is over there. Another fella's been here. Riley Sylvester. There
he is. Also 5% body fat.
Those are our 3 winners. We'll go to our next speaker. I'll let Cal introduce. You know, this guy's one of my heroes for a different reason. Because he's a superstar, man. He's a superstar. He's a stud.
Our next speaker here comes from the Dene Nation, Desnede Group, Director, Property Management. Trent Campbell joined the group in 2012. In his time with the company, he has worked with retail, sales, construction, business. Prior to his current position, he served in the community as a liaison for Tron Construction. Mr. Campbell played professional hockey for 5 years with the South Carolina Stingrays. During his extensive sports career, he played for many teams: Portland, Worcester, Houston, Bridgeport. Mr. Campbell is an alumni of Lake Superior State University, an NCAA hockey scholarship recipient, and holds a BS in Business Administration Management from the English River First Nation. Make him welcome here, friends and relatives.